his passing today at the age of 86. We just had Ken Singleton on a little while ago. In just a little bit, we'll talk to Jeff Torborg, the former manager of the Mets, the Marlins, the White Sox, and also famously a catcher for the Dodgers back in those halcyon days in the 60s when he caught Drysdale and Koufax and what it was like seeing Hank Aaron come to the plate. Jeff coming up in just a little bit. Right now, we continue on the phones. Mike is in Old Bridge. He's next. 98.7 ESPN. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. What's going on with you?
Hey, I'm so glad you mentioned that Hank Aaron is definitely in the top three. I was actually trying to tweet that to you, and you said it just as I was tweeting it. I mean, that's how much of a monumental loss it is to lose Hank Aaron. I mean, you know, what do you say, like Babe Ruth, Hank, Willie, or Babe Ruth, Hank, Ty Cobb? I mean, he's definitely in that top three. And the only other point I wanted to make, and I'll hang up and I'll listen, is if Atlanta, if they ever decide to change their name, you know, it'd be great to honor Hank Aaron by calling themselves the Hammers or something to that effect. What do you think?
I saw that somewhere else. Somebody else made that suggestion. I think that's a great idea on your part. If they do end up changing their name from the Braves, I would absolutely think the Hammers would be fantastic. That would be a great name for them to honor Hank Aaron.
Yeah, especially what he endured, you know, as an African American in baseball. I think that would really, it would mean a lot to a lot of people if they do decide to change the name, and I think it would be great. And again, to echo what I was saying earlier, he's definitely in that top three. You know, I mean, I'm sure if I sat down and crunched the numbers between him and Babe Ruth, maybe argue him number one. I don't know. A smarter baseball person can argue that than me, but he's certainly in the top three. And you know, the fact that he wasn't a New York player, you know, sadly now that he's gone, you can kind of look at him as the player and as the man and really look at what he accomplished. He's certainly top three all time in Major League Baseball.
And the other thing is, it's not even just a New York thing, Mike. Thanks for the call. It's that Hank Aaron was not somebody that was going to go out there and do the unbelievable, the spectacular thing and, you know, just be flashy and all that kind of stuff. That wasn't him. He would go out there and make the plays you're supposed to make. The one thing I've heard a couple of times today, and you'll hear this in just a little bit from Jeff Torborg, like Hank Aaron never missed a cutoff man. You know, Hank Aaron would make the spectacular plays, but because he got a good jump on the ball, it didn't make them look spectacular. He made them look like they were regular plays or basically plays that you should make. And there's something to be said for that. The fact that it wasn't about making the unbelievable diving catch all the time. That's not a knock on anybody else. In some instances, it's all you can do. But he was such a smart baseball guy that he was able to position himself correctly and frankly, read the ball off the bat so well. Was he a great outfielder? He wasn't an all-time great outfielder, but it was one of those things where, you know, early in his career, he wasn't a great outfielder, wasn't a very good outfielder. He got better. He continued to work at it, and he ends up winning 3 Gold Gloves. I mean, that's just one of the overlooked things about his career. And, you know, I look up and down. The guy has 2,300 runs batted in. 2,300 runs batted in. 2,297. It's first all time. All time. And it's not because of all the home runs. It's because he would do whatever he had to do to drive in runs. He would make sure that runner on third base got picked up. I'll tell you, just looking at some of the numbers, as I look at it, right? So Babe Ruth is about 80 runs batted in behind him. Albert Pujols has 2,100 runs batted in. What we were talking about with the total bases earlier, okay? Hank Aaron has 6,856 total bases. Stan Musial has 6,136. So he's got well over 700 more total bases. The difference there, and then from Stan all the way down to Carl Yastrzemski, he's got 55-39. Like, that's a bigger gap. 1 to 2, and then 2 to 10 or 11. That's ridiculous. All right, let's give Richard another shot. Is the caller there? Wow.
Not there.
Brian Munguia, I mean, I can't believe this. This is twice.
I'm a little concerned.
I think we have to hang up.
Yeah.
I think we have to hang up and make Richard call back. That's what's going to have to happen.
Too in the background. I don't know what he's watching.
I hope he's okay. I hope that's, because Richard, when is Richard not picking up the phone?
Did he fall asleep? But you would think he would hear the alarm.
I would hope. I mean, the alarm is really there for the rest of the listeners. I do this, but if you need to check out for a minute, the alarm is there to tell you, now might be the time. Bill next on 98.7 ESPN. Bill, what's going on?
How you doing, Chris? First-time caller. I never heard so much information about Hank Aaron and everything he went through. I'm 54 years old, big Yankee fan, but I'm a baseball fan. However, I kind of want on this. Hank Aaron really has never been sick. He seemed to be in good health, and I really hope I'm not treading on water with this one, but he recently, about 2 weeks ago, received the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are talking about the passing of Hank Aaron and everything he's done, which is fantastic. But has anybody discussed or maybe thought about this vaccine potentially being the cause? And again, I'm not trying to be political. I'm not trying to...
Bill, I'm not even going anywhere near it. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. I'm happy to talk about anything, but we're going to tie together Hank Aaron's death and the COVID vaccine when, in fact, Hank Aaron is out there a couple of weeks ago being one of the first to take it for a very specific reason, to show people that you should take it, to show people that it's important. I don't know if it was the cause. I'm certainly going to not even remotely consider that. And dear God, if it comes up that it was, I'm not even remotely smart enough to talk about that. And I'm not going to speculate on how Hank Aaron passed away. I'll tell you this. He was 86 years old. So it's, 86 is an age where it would not be unexpected for someone to pass away. I'm not going to go there for a second. I mean, I can't even believe I've spent like the last 90 seconds even thinking about it. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. Jeff Torborg in just a little bit. We're going to talk about the playoffs as well and the games this weekend. And we're getting close to that time. We're not there yet. We're 16 games into the season at 8-8? We're not there yet. I'm not buying in yet. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. They play good defense. I'm not doing it. I'm not jumping in. I'm not doing it. I'm not admitting defeat. Absolutely not. Not after 16 games. But I got to wake up to texts or tweets, not texts, but tweets from Brian Munguia with all kinds of, celebratory gifts out there. The Knicks won again. Oh my God, this team's unbelievable.
Why you gotta point me out?
Well, because yours was the first one that I saw this morning.
Did you like the Sopranos one?
I mean, geez, can you throw everyone? I mean, it's a regular season game on the West Coast against a Warriors team that doesn't have Klay Thompson and is not going to have a great season.
But Steph Curry is still Steph Curry.
Yes, he is. But, I mean, we get it. They can defend it. And RJ Barrett can put some games together. And I'm so encouraged by that.
That's what I wanted to see.
But can we just settle down? You guys, every day, it's like, jump on board. Here we go. Stop drinking the sand. I mean, for Pete's sake, I want good things for you. I do. But when you jump the gun, I don't want to tell you how to be a fan, but I'm going to tell you how to be a fan. Just everybody calm down.
I'm happy for them, okay?
Yes, you can.
I have not seen that in, I don't know, what, 2000?
20 years.
Yeah, 1999.
Well, I mean, listen, no, you know what? I don't even want to talk about 20 years. You had a 54-win season in, 2012, something like that,
Yeah.
2013.
But that was only 1 year.
Yeah, it was 1 year, but this is 16 games. 800-919-3776.
It's Carlin.
Grow up, fat man. Grow up.
On 98.7 ESPN.
look at the call.
And here they come.
So they want the best
Here we go.
price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees. All for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
No matter what stage of the relationship you're in, performance is a must. Satisfaction is key, but not guaranteed. Want to be bold, confident. Don't suffer from performance anxiety. Chew it and do it all night long. Go to BlueChew.com. They have the first ever chewable sexual performance enhancer with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work. Too afraid to bring it up with your physician? Connect with a BlueChew.com affiliate physician and see if you qualify and get prescribed ASAP. Here's a great deal for you guys. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first order free when you use promo code NYC. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BLUE Chew.com. Promo code NYC. Get back in the game with Blue Chew. Chew it and do it, baby, all night long.
The Honda Civic and the Accord are uniquely stylish in their own way. But you know what they have in common? Reliability and comfort? Sure. Available turbocharged engines? Of course. But also, the driver, having fun for no reason, except for the thrill of driving a Honda. Kelley Blue Book's 2020 Best Value Brand.
Contact your local Honda dealer for a great deal today.
Based on 2020 brand image awards from Kelley Blue Book, visit kbb.com for more information.
Mornings on ESPN Radio from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
That's what we get by hiring a dude that doesn't understand what being a Trojan is all about.
To Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
It is so clear to everyone but the one person who can do something about it.
Opinions, analysis, and the biggest names in sports.
That's real talk, though.
Get him, Key.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin at 6 Eastern.
I'm here to tell you you're wrong.
Followed by Greeny at 10 Eastern. It's your weekday mornings on ESPN Radio.
Introducing Fidelity Income Planning. We look at how much you've saved, how much you'll need, and help you build a straightforward plan to generate income, even when you're not working. A plan that gives you the chance to grow your savings and create cash flow that lasts. Plus, you can start, stop, or adjust your plan at any time. Talk to us today so we can help you go from saving to living. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
Hindsight is 2020, and 2020 was a brutal year that for most of it felt out of control. But you know how you can be in control? You can be in control of your job your career. Yes. In 2020, My Computer Career helped more people start IT careers than ever. Don't look back with 2020 hindsight next year and see yourself in that 2020 job. Take control. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
It's time for some straight talk. Look, we all drop our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this new Platinum Unlimited plan that includes phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Coming back here.
Check terms and conditions at assuredwire.com/straight talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Oh, come on.
Go New York, go. Say go New York, go New York, go.
Oh.
Go New York, go. Well, just like that, look who's back in the mix. Straight out of
I want them to be good. I just know what I'm looking at.
Even Indiana, it's the Knicks. Back on pace, back in the chase. That's right, the 8th seed in the thick of the race. And while you're trying
I mean, you don't even, Brian, how old are you?
I just turned 30.
You just turned 30.
Correct.
So when they were really playing that song in the 90s, you were like 4.
Yeah.
So stop.
Hey, I kind of remember it.
I kind of remember it. Stop.
And I watch a lot of the documentaries on MSG Network. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Mike in Clinton is up next. Mike, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking my call, guys. And I appreciate your time with Hank Aaron tonight and talking all about it. I asked Brian the question earlier. I'm just mesmerized, and maybe you could shed some light on it. Hank Aaron didn't get into the Hall of Fame unanimously?
97.2. Who was the guy? Who were the 2 guys who didn't vote for Hank Aaron? Like, we always kill people on Jeter and everything. Who's that guy?
I was just curious because you guys have been just sharing so many great stats, and I'm thinking to myself on the way home, who the heck wouldn't have voted for him?
I don't know. I'm Googling it right now because I want to know who didn't vote for Hank Aaron. He got 97.8% of the vote. 97.8.
That's darn good, but I can't believe he didn't get 100.
That's ridiculous.
Point of frustration.
Yeah, that's so bad. Who were the dopes who didn't vote for him? That's what I want to know.
Well,
and like if it's 97.8, let me do a little quick math. 97.8%. He got 406 votes. That means like there had to be like 8 or 9 guys. Am I wrong with my math? Like 2% who didn't vote for him. I mean, not just like 1 or 2, like 8 or 9 guys who didn't vote for Hank Aaron.
They must have been from the good old club. I don't know.
I tell you what, if you don't vote, like there are certain instances where if you don't vote for a guy like that as a unanimous selection, I mean, you just deserve to have your vote taken away.
I agree with you. Well, guys, thank you for taking my call. I just didn't know if you had any insight, but I was just blown away. And thank you guys again for covering all this tonight. And I really do appreciate it.
Sure. Me and my fat friend, Chris, we're very happy to do it. Thanks for checking in, Mike. There's only one of us here. It's just me. It might feel like that, but not really. How about Bill in Levittown? Bill is next on 98.7 ESPN.
Rich, how you doing, man?
Good. What's going on?
Good. I was going to come on here and talk about, I was watching LeBron James do what he does, and I was going to come here and rant about LeBron and just like how he's in year 7. I mean, this just doesn't make sense what he's doing. And but then we're on the baseball subject. I think A-Rod should be unanimous Hall of Famer first ballot.
Yeah, I don't know what's more ridiculous. The fact that LeBron is doing what he's doing, which is off the charts ridiculous. I mean, he only had 34 last night against Milwaukee. And 34-8 against Milwaukee last night. Or that take that A-Rod should be a first ballot Hall of Fame. A-Rod's got incredible numbers.
And I like how he dropped after he said A-Rod. He's kind of...
Oh, he hung up.
Yeah, he hung up.
Oh.
He hung up.
He hung up. So he didn't even have the guts to hang with us for a little bit
I
to
wanted him to
defend his
explore
take.
that. Yeah, I wanted him to explore that.
Yeah, no, that's called hit and run. That's gutless. It's gutless. Not unlike myself, gutless. Spike, Jersey, he's not gutless. Hello, Spike.
Hello, my friend. I got two of the voters listed here. I looked it up.
Really? Who you got? Who are they?
Leonard Douche and his cousin Harry Bagg. Come on.
It's a Disney company. It's a Disney company. What are you doing?
The world's crazy. I told Michael today, I'm really blessed. In my lifetime, I don't know if you heard it, but the audience is coming in and out. I'm really blessed. In my lifetime, I got to spend time as a little kid with Jackie Robinson and time with Henry Aaron. And I'll tell you, I'm counting my blessings because those are two of the finest. I was a little boy with Jackie, and I was walking to Ebbetsfield, and I just stopped. It was different then. On the sidewalk, I lived 6 blocks away. I walked there. It was so odd. You would collect old ice cream wrappers and 2 bits or 25 cents. How unhygienic was to pick on used ice cream wrappers up off the sidewalk, but that's another story. Henry Aaron did things and I saw him all the way, and I told him with my big mouth at this function I went to in Milwaukee at the Chamber of Commerce, and he was there with his best friend, Bud Selig. This was 81.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, I tried to get my wrist like that. I bought those things that you squeeze, and he just smiled, and he's just so reverent, so bright, so kind. And I said, you pulled balls that were by you, and they hit the left field foul pole. He was just great, Chris. I know you didn't see him, but I remember that Milwaukee Braves team like it was yesterday. You keep your youth with you, or you try to.
Yeah.
But it's very sad. But
I heard Michael say it earlier, and it's 100% true that when you think of those players, you think of them at their very best in your youth. Like that's where they're kind of frozen in your memory.
Absolutely. And there was another one, and you'll nod to it. I can't see you, obviously, but you'll nod to it. He doesn't get the accolades also. Very underrated, Frank Robinson.
Oh, Frank Robinson. Another guy I wish I had seen because, I mean, 586 homers and just nasty, just wanted to beat the daylights out of you.
Wanted to beat the crap out of you and won the MVP in both leagues. But let me, the reason I called is young Brian, who's 30 already. I've known him for a long time, it seems, and he's a nice young fella. I said, listen, we have bylaws, us older folks. Carlin comes on board when the Knicks are 5 over. We agree to that?
Yeah. I mean,
if
they get 5 games over, yes, I'll admit something. I don't know what I'll admit, but I'll admit. I'm not going to admit. Here's the thing: I'm not going to admit I'm wrong because we can agree that they're not talented enough, right?
Look, they're playing hard. You can only get so far with playing hard. The talent will catch up to you. I'll tell you one thing. I'm watching the Nets game, and they're gonna. I had an afro like Jared Allen. I got to pull a picture out somewhere just like him 50 years ago. But I got to tell you, they're going to regret that trade, not having a big guy in the back there. They're missing that. We talked about it. I don't like this kind of basketball. I watch it. I love hoops.
No, it's a problem, Spike. It's definitely a problem, and thanks for the call. It's obviously a team that's not going to play any defense. And they do miss having somebody back there to defend the rim. And they're going to have problems. They have unbelievable talent with the big three. I am exceptionally skeptical, and I think eventually, with these 3 personalities, it will blow up. Like you could not pick 3 more personalities in the NBA right now that have the potential of blowing up together more than these 3. Between Kyrie, Harden, who's already run 3 separate superstars out of town in Houston before he got here, and KD, who got all bent out of shape because Barkley's not kissing his you-know-what. I mean, what are we doing? Why is he getting bent out of shape about that? Stop it. Charles Barkley was a great player, Kevin. And Kevin's a tremendous, tremendous player. He's the second best player on the planet. But, you know, don't downplay what those guys are. And all they're doing is telling the truth. That's what they do. They were both great in their own right. Listen, that show is as good as it gets. But at any rate, the Nets, I don't see it. And, you know, KD's got his load maintenance night tonight or whatever it was. 800-919-3776. Quick Frank Robinson story. Very quick before we get to Jeff Torborg in a minute. I was in 5th grade, and I was a huge, huge Mets fan. And I somehow convinced one of my teachers that we should go as a class for a field trip to a Mets game. And I don't know how I did. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And we went to see the Mets play the Giants. I think it was 82. And Frank Robinson was managing the Giants. And it was an afternoon game, middle of the week. And a guy named Jim Barr was pitching for the Giants. And he's getting hit around by the Mets. And he's all bent out of shape and gets annoyed that he's getting pulled out of the game by Frank Robinson. And Jim Barr, as Robinson is coming out to get him, he just about gets to the mound, just flips Robinson the ball and starts walking off. And Frank Robinson grabs him by the arm and rips him back onto the mound. No, you wait for the reliever to get here. How about that? Frank Robinson wasn't taking it from anybody. I remember that game like it was yesterday, and the entire crowd, all, 15,000 or 20,000 of us at Shea, were, when you saw him grab his arm and rip him back onto the mound, we're like, oh, wow. Frank Robinson's nasty, nasty guy. Nasty guy. Unbelievable player. He was tough. And when I mean nasty, like, he could be really tough to people too, from what I understand. I never had any personal interaction with him, but he could be tough. Speaking of tough, Drysdale, Koufax, they were pretty tough. We'll talk about them with Jeff Torborg, former manager of the Mets, the White Sox, the Marlins, and of course, the catcher in Major League Baseball in the 60s, caught one of Sandy's no-hitters, I think he caught the perfect game. And we will talk all about that and facing Hank Aaron in just a moment. Carlin on 98.7 ESPN.
Introducing
You Are Down.
We look at how much you've saved, how much you'll need, and help you build a straightforward.
Started with that Jeff Torborg.
Work.
Yeah, I have to pick up the back end of it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You got to pick up the back end. All right, cool.
Plus, you can start, stop, or adjust your plan at any time. Talk to us today so we can help you go from saving to living. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC. Let's go.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them, too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
These days, you work.
Remembering Hank Aaron, one of the legendary players in the game.
Thanks to Crimo Company's Barber Grade products, you can get the Barber Grade experience at home.
AutoZone locations. Or if your job can wait, AutoZone.
Remembering Hank Aaron.
Richard called back.
Free next day delivery.
Richard called back.
He fell asleep.
For like.
I figured he did because I was like, I hear the TV in the background.
Start your job.
Oh, yeah.
AutoZone.
It's
He just got. He's like, I'm sorry, I fell asleep.
up our phones. It happens. You fumble it, crack it, splash it. Well, Straight Talk Wireless now offers this
Probably got him too excited with these stats. That's why he fell asleep.
phone protection. Just $65 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data, plus 20 gigs of hotspot, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and more. All on the best network. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. See Mobile Protect terms and conditions at Assurion.com/Straight Talk. Limitations and exclusions apply.
The Michael Key Show on 98.7 ESPN is brought to you by Geico. The real value in car insurance isn't just how much you save, it's also the kind of service you get. Good thing Geico's been perfecting both for over 75 years.
Yes, Richard will get another chance.
I got it here.
Remembering Hank Aaron. Remembering Hank Aaron, one of the legendary players in the game and a guy that was behind the dish quite a bit when he was at the plate. Was former Met manager, former Major League manager, and of course, former catcher Jeff Torborg, who joins us right now on 98.7 ESPN. Jeff, it's always great to talk to you and appreciate the time. And, you know, when you first heard the news this morning about the passing of Hank Aaron, I'm curious as to what your first thoughts were that came to mind.
Well, that's interesting, Chris. The first thoughts came, we just lost Don Sutton, a Hall of Famer who was a teammate of mine who I grew up with. And then to hear about Henry, I'm going, oh my gosh, not another one. Yeah. And yesterday, talking with Joe Moeller, a former teammate of mine and roommate of mine with the Dodgers, he said, you know, the Hall of Fame sending a lot of people to heaven. He said, and there are they got a great starting rotation. He said, I hope they're not looking for a long man. And then to hear this with Henry, I know that he's been recently on a cane and bent over and looked like he was not getting around very well, but he always had that infectious smile and in his latter years became much more articulate about what went on in his career, because obviously he went through so much when he was performing that he didn't say much. He was not a kind of player on the field who said much. He wasn't a bat thrower. He didn't have any hot dog tendencies. He just came to play. And boy, you know, when I joined the Dodgers, I had grown up in New Jersey and I was a New York Giants fan, and I idolized Willie Mays, and to this day, I still think he's as great a player as I've ever seen. But when I got to the Dodgers, the awe and the way the Dodger pitchers talked about Hank Aaron, they called him Bad Henry. And they made every team meeting we had before we played the Braves, they say, whatever you do, don't allow Henry to beat you when the game's on the line. Whatever you do. And that was amazing because he could beat you in so many ways. You know, everybody thinks about him as the kind of hitter that he was. You know, he could steal a base when he wanted to. And we, with the Dodgers, didn't do a lot of hitting. In the 65 World Championship season, we only hit 245 as a team. So that meant we were playing games that were really close, 1 or 2 run games. You know, with Koufax and Drysdale, it's almost like you'd say to them, well, if you get 1 run, that means 2. It'll take 2 to beat us, and your earned run average is possibly below that. So you don't have to worry about it. But the problem was when you played as close to the best as we did and didn't score a lot of runs, you run across a club like the Braves, and they could hammer you. They could really hit the ball. They had some big power hitters on that club in those days. You know, Joe Adcock and Eddie Matthews, and Joe Torre was a young catcher coming along in those days, and he could hit. But Henry was really something. And so we always were, before the game, we knew that we would do whatever we could not to allow him to beat us. And that took into consideration that he could possibly get on, and if we pitched around him, get on and steal a base, and it would be like we gave him a double. But he was an amazing hitter. Chris, the thing that the difference you see when you get behind the plate, squat down and decide on how you're going to approach a hitter, how you're going to have your pitcher pitch to him. You check out how they stand in the box, and you think about, how they approach the ball. He had this wiggle in his swing. They talk about how great his wrists were, that he could. In fact, I've got a trophy on my right ring finger that my finger does not bend at the far end, because Henry, with 2 strikes on him, we threw a slider. Bob Miller, right-handed Bob Miller, threw a slider to him on a 2-strike count, and I thought we had him beaten. The ball was almost by him. He just flicked out with his hand, and he fouled the ball off, and it dislocated my finger. It stuck straight up in the air. I looked down at it, and I thought it was gone. It was standing up in the air like an L shape, and the old umpire, Jocko Carlin, the Hall of Fame small umpire, said, "Here, kid, let me take that." And he grabbed it and he popped it back in place, and we went on playing. But I remember I started, whenever I was behind Henry, I'd catch with one hand and make sure the other one was nowhere around. But he was a special player.
Jeff, it's amazing. You go back, and the thing that maybe we don't realize about him, he truly was one of those players, when the pressure got greater, he got even better. And I went back and looked. I mean, he had 360 against Koufax for his career. I mean, how is that possible? And you look at, like you were talking about, the pressure factor later on. What do you remember about that with Aaron that made him so good in those kind of situations?
Well, it was almost like he expected to hit. There's some of us who are not very good hitters who say, "Boy, I hope I hit." He expected to hit, and he knew what he was looking for. I think, as we remember back, and I remember the team meetings we had, we felt that he would sit, what we call sit on a pitch. He would look for a pitch. He'd sit on breaking stuff, because he could catch up to anybody's fastball, because he was so strong and his wrists were so good. And I just remember what he knew where they were in their lineup constantly when you were facing the Braves, so that you knew where number 44 was going to be coming if things turned out a certain way. So you were trying to think that far ahead. But he just had a presence about him. He didn't panic. He wasn't loud. He just did what it took. He was he would if he needed a run scored from third base, he wouldn't necessarily look to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He'd hit a ground ball in the infield for playing the infield back, and take that run the easy way. It's just the way he played the game. But he didn't say much. He didn't jump around much. He just was a kind of like almost mechanical machine. He was so effective.
Former Mets manager and, of course, Major League catcher Jeff Torborg with us, remembering Hank Aaron. Jeff, is it possible that a guy who hit 755 home runs, Jeff, was not fully, or is not fully appreciated for the complete player that he was? You alluded to the base running, all that kind of stuff earlier, and just getting runs home. I mean, he has a feel like he was a Mike Trout type of player before Mike Trout was around.
Yes, yeah, he was. He wasn't known for his defense in his early years. He just went out there and played and played well. And there was no. He wasn't a flashy player. He wasn't a guy that would make. He would make fantastic plays, but he'd make them look easy. They used to say that about DiMaggio. I remember even my father, who was not a Yankee fan, used to say DiMaggio was as coordinated and smooth a player as he has seen. And the same can be said of Henry. He would make sensational plays in the outfield, but he would make them look routine. He would go back on a ball where some guys would go and crash into the wall. He would time it well, and he never made a bad throw. He'd always, after he caught the ball, or caught a ball that is off a base hit type of situation. His relay throws were perfect. He throws strikes all over the ball field. He just did everything so easily and without a lot of show. You know, it was just he just was a consummate pro.
Jeff, you touched on it a little bit about not wanting him to beat you, but I'm curious to know, when you have Drysdale, when you have Sandy, and you've got great hitters, and it was so part of the game to back guys off the plate, to go after them inside. What was that like for a guy like Drysdale in particular when you're facing someone like Hank Aaron?
You know, that's interesting that you should ask that, because different hitters hit in different ways. You know, they stand closer to the plate, or their approach is to pull off the ball or to dive into the ball, that type of thing. So accordingly, you pitch that way. Drysdale was known as a guy that wasn't afraid to knock somebody down, you know, at all. In fact, there'd be times when he would knock a guy down and he'd be walking to the plate to get the throw back from me. And the hitter would say, "Who is he looking at?" He's looking at you. You know, it just had a way of showing it. He didn't do that with Henry. I mean, Frank Robinson used to stand on top of the plate, and Don would knock him down left and right. Henry was back off the plate a little bit, and he had such quick wrist that if you didn't get the ball way in, he could really turn on that ball. You always had a feeling that we'd be better off pitching him low and away and take our chances the other way. But Drysdale, and there is such a respect and a concern for what Henry was able to do with his approach, and that waggle of the bat with a wrist action, that you had to be careful inside. And I do remember Don. There were times that Don would, you know, come inside to make sure that he was setting up the outside, and these, you know, the great hitters would bite the dust and the helmet would go flying and get back up, and nobody said anything and just continued to play. But there were certain guys that it's almost like there were times that if we knock somebody down, that they don't wake him up. Don't do that. Don't go near him. You know, stay away from him, type of thing. And Henry was one of those guys. We didn't mess with it. We didn't challenge him like that very often.
Last one, Jeff. How would you best describe Hank Aaron to somebody that had no concept of what Hank Aaron was about in the sport?
Wow. What he went through in the early years, and a lot of the Afro-American players, what they went through in the minor leagues and even in the major leagues in the early years, and to have them star and able to produce the way they did with difficult times, that's amazing to me. But I have to say, if you're thinking of, it's tough to compare eras of players. But when you bring up Henry Aaron's name, he's got to be in the top 3 or 4 of the guys who ever played the game, it seems to me. Now, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but that's how good he was.
That is Jeff Torborg, and as good as it gets on Henry Aaron. And another one of those matchups. Can you imagine Drysdale or Koufax pitching to Henry Aaron? And he had 360 lifetime against Sandy Koufax. Nobody did that to Sandy Koufax. Nobody. And the fact that Drysdale would not stare him down, where he'd do that to anybody, but not Henry Aaron. Wow. 800-919-3776. 800-919-ESPN. We will answer the question, is Richard okay? Up next. And Knick fans, go ahead. You've been waiting to come out of the woodwork. Go ahead. You're still wrong. They're still not that good. So just settle down. Woo! We went out west and won. Good for us. 98.7 ESPN.
Mornings.
You are now.
The Nets to me are the team with the biggest upside, and
you have a
15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today. See how much you could save.
There was genuine concern last hour. Genuine concern. Twice we sounded the alarm and no response. The bat signal, as it were, went up. And our own Caped Crusader didn't show up, so let's see if he does now. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry.
That's okay. What happened? Where'd you go? What happened?
I fell asleep a little bit.
Okay, that happens.
All right.
I was hoping the alarm. See, here, Richard, hang on, Richard. Hang on. I'm going to give you plenty of time. I got to know this. Do you know it's time to come pick up the phone when the alarm goes off?
Of course.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Chris. Let me tell you what I remembered about the day Hank Aaron hit the 715th homer. First of all, there was controversy before that. And the big thing was the Atlanta Braves wanted Aaron to set the record in Atlanta.
Yep.
And
Henry did. He did too.
Yeah, but the Braves didn't want him to play in the away games so that the record would be broken in Atlanta. Bowie Cone stepped in and made Hank Aaron play those games, before that in away ball.
Yes, he did.
He ended up hitting the home run in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I was a freshman. I was at school. We were in the dormitory watching the game, early April, 74. And what I remember most, and I have not heard anybody talk about this at all, this whole day today, and it's ironic when you think about it. The man who gave up the home run to Hank Aaron was Al Downing.
Yes, sir.
Do you know who Al Downing was, Chris?
Yeah, he was a pitcher for the Dodgers.
No. He was the first African-American pitcher on the New York Yankees.
I did not know that, Richard. I did not know that.
Sure. He came after Elston Howard in 1959. He was signed. He came up with the Yankees in 61. In the season, I think in 63, he led the American League in strikeouts. He was a very, very good pitcher for the Yankees. And think about it. The guy who broke a great white Yankee record was the first African-American pitcher for the New York Yankees. He served up the pitch to Hank Aaron.
Well, I mean, that is remarkable. I did not realize that. That's a good a good poll on your part there, Richard. I was not aware that he was the first.
I didn't even hear.
First African-American pitcher for the Yankees?
First African-American, and he was a starting pitcher. And he was a star pitcher. He pitched in the 63 World Series, actually. He was one of the 3 Yankee pitchers that lost. He lost, I think, Game 3. He lost to Drysdale 1-0 in Game 3 in the 63 World Series in Los Angeles.
Wait, Richard, just so I have this right, Elston Howard was the first player, though, right? He was the first everyday player for the Yankees. Okay.
For the Yankees, out of 59.
Yeah.
He was, and then he was the catcher and the left fielder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Al Downing, and Al Downing was from here. He was from New Jersey. That's another thing you should look up, Chris.
You just told me. I don't have to look it up.
Yeah. Al Downing was from New Jersey. I think he's still living, too. We don't hear much about Al Downing.
He is, because I saw him earlier today on High Heat on MLB Network. I'll give them a pop for it with Chris Russo talking about it. And in fact, Richard, and thanks for the call, as he was talking about giving up the home run, Chris asked him about, like, are you thinking about that? Are you annoyed that you're the guy? How are you feeling? And he's like, I was told to go to the dugout because I knew there was going to be a celebration of some sort. But I was just going to the dugout thinking about the fact that it just went from a 3-1 game to a 3-3 game. And I was just more focused on what I had to do in the moment. I wasn't thinking that much about that I had just given up the home run. Imagine being that guy, though, in that moment. See, this is what sometimes we take for granted about athletes, is that they are so focused and locked in the moment, the majority of them are, that they're not even thinking about that. He's not even thinking about that at the moment. He's thinking about how they're going to win that game. The Braves won that game 7-4. But he's thinking about how they're going to win that game. He just gave up, without question, the most important home run in baseball history. And he's annoyed that the game's tied 3-3 more than anything. Think about that for a second. So he really wasn't thinking about the fact that he was then part of history. There were a couple of guys that I really wanted to talk to today that are so broken up about it, they're just not ready to talk. One of them was Dusty Baker, who was the Braves teammate of Henry Aaron's, and he did put out a statement today, basically, just talking about how important he was to him. And we have a mutual friend, and I asked that friend to reach out to see if he would come on to discuss, and Dusty was still too broken up about it because he told my friend it's my older brother. That's what Hank Aaron was to him. And a couple of the others that just, the people you were looking for to try to talk to about this, and they're just so broken up. They're not there yet, and you can completely understand that. I mean, I'm trying to remember right now, but Tim McCarver. I reached out to Tim McCarver to talk about it, and from what I heard, same kind of thing. Just really too upset and too broken up about it. And the last guy that I tried was Tom House, who, if you were listening last weekend to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman talk during the game, Tom House, of course, works with Tom Brady, and he works with Drew Brees, and he caught the ball in the bullpen. And he was a Braves pitcher at that point. He would have been phenomenal to come on as well. Maybe sometime soon. All right. I'll endure your next calls next.
You are down.
Phone just to lock you into a contract, not Simple Mobile. If you have a great smartphone you love, you can get a powerful nationwide 5G network without the contract. Just text the word BYOP to 611611 to see if your phone's compatible.